Eamonn Holmes claims BBC is wasting their time looking for younger Match of the Day host. GB News presenter Eamonn Holmes has claimed the BBC would be wasting their time by trying to find a younger host to replace Gary Lineker on Match of the Day. Eamonn Holmes has claimed the BBC would be wasting their time getting a younger host for Match of the Day. The 64-year-old presenter has weighed in on the future of the BB's iconic football highlights show after news Gary Lineker, 63, will step down at the end of the current season after over 25 years at the helm. After his GB News co-star Isabel Webster suggested Eamonn himself would be a brilliant choice for the role, he ranted about the BBC's rumored approach. On Wednesday's 13.11.24 edition of their show, he said, "See, they also do this ridiculous thing in the BBC, it's always been the case, try and get a younger audience. So what does that mean? Get a younger host. And younger people do not watch television. So why are they wasting their time?" Isabel joked that younger fans watch it in bed on a Sunday with a hangover, but Eamonn wasn't so sure. He added, "No, they watch it on their phones and on their devices." And the former, This Morning, host insisted, "The best thing about Match of the Day is the music." It remains to be seen who will replace Gary when he steps down, with claims the BBC are looking for a younger host. Recent reports claimed Match of the Day 2 Feet host Mark Chapman, 51, turned down an offer to share the job with Kelly Summers, 33. An insider told the Sun newspaper, as soon as Gary's deal was done, BBC sport director Alex K. Jelski made it clear he wanted Mark and Kelly to replace him. It would effectively be a job share and they would rotate hosting duties between them. Mark has made it clear within the team at MOTD that this isn't something he would want to do. He doesn't want a job share, he wants Gary's role as his own, which is understandable. It's a headache for the BBC because they thought they'd found an easy solution. Eamonn Holmes, the veteran broadcaster and well-known media personality, has weighed in on the BBC's search for a younger presenter to replace Gary Lineker as the host of Match of the Day, calling it a futile exercise that misses the point of the show's success. In a passionate critique, Holmes suggested that the BBC's pursuit of a new, younger host was misguided, claiming that it was wasting their time by focusing on age rather than on the quality and credibility that Lineker brought to the program. The comments come amid ongoing speculation about the future of Match of the Day after Lineker stepped back from hosting duties temporarily following a social media controversy in 2023. Lineker, a former England football star, had been the face of the BBC's flagship football program for decades, guiding viewers through post-match analysis and highlights. His departure from the show, albeit brief, led the BBC to explore new hosting options, and since then, the broadcaster has reportedly been on the lookout for a younger presenter to take over the reins. Holmes, however, believes this search for a fresh, youthful face is a mistake. He argued that the BBC's decision to look for younger talent reflects an obsession with the demographics of their audience, rather than focusing on what truly matters: experience, credibility, and an in-depth understanding of football. The BBC is wasting its time, Holmes said during an interview on his talk show. The idea that Match of the Day needs a younger host is a bit of a misstep. What they have is a show that works because of the people who have hosted it, people like Gary Lineker who know the game inside out. It's not about age, it's about knowledge and presence. Holmes' comments come at a time when the BBC has faced increasing pressure to evolve its programming and attract a younger audience. As viewing habits change and more content moves to streaming platforms, broadcasters like the BBC have been keen to appeal to younger generations, who are seen as more likely to engage with newer, digital forms of media. This drive for youthful talent, Holmes argued, risks alienating longtime viewers who value expertise and experience over youthful enthusiasm. "I get that broadcasters are looking to cater to a younger audience, but let's not forget that Match of the Day is about the football," Holmes continued. "It's about the analysis, the insight, and the personalities who have lived and breathed the game. That's why Gary worked. His knowledge was second to none. That's not something you can just replace with a younger face." Holmes' critique is rooted in his belief that television is increasingly dominated by a fixation on younger talent, to the detriment of established broadcasters. He noted that age shouldn't be a determining factor in a broadcaster's ability to connect with its audience or perform the role. His comments have sparked a wider conversation about the changing nature of television hosting and the ongoing debate about generational shifts in the media industry. BBC's pursuit of a younger host. In the aftermath of Linker's brief suspension, which saw a temporary shift in the BBC's Match of the Day presentation team, the BBC began considering long-term changes to the show's hosting lineup. While some believed Linker's return would signal business as usual, the BBC reportedly initiated a search for a new, younger host to eventually replace him, with candidates ranging from younger former footballers to media personalities with fresh appeal. The move was seen by some as an attempt to refresh the program in an increasingly competitive sports broadcasting landscape. However, the BBC's search for a younger host has come under fire for seeming to prioritize superficial factors over substance. Holmes is one of several critics who have questioned the BBC's strategy, suggesting that it reflects a misunderstanding of what makes Match of the Day so successful. Match of the Day is a brand built on credibility, not just flashiness, Holmes pointed out. You've got to have someone who understands the game, who has the respect of the football community, and who can guide viewers through the highs and lows of a season. You don't just get that from being young and trendy. Holmes' statements reflect a growing trend of older broadcasters voicing their concerns about the industry's apparent youth obsession. With a raft of popular media figures, both inside and outside of sports, expressing similar sentiments, there is a palpable sense that experience is being undervalued in favor of a desire to appeal to a new generation. Despite this, Holmes also acknowledged the BBC's need to adapt in order to keep its programming relevant. He conceded that attracting a younger audience is important for the long-term future of the broadcaster, but he remained firm in his belief that this should not come at the expense of the program's core values. You can't just bring in a younger host and expect the show to thrive because they're fresh and new, Holmes said. It's about getting the balance right. Match of the Day has always worked because it has people who know the game, who have the respect of the players and the fans. That's not something you can fake, no matter how old or young someone is. The legacy of Gary Lineker. Gary Lineker's long-standing role as host of Match of the Day has made him an iconic figure in British television. Having been with the program for more than 2 decades, Lineker is widely regarded as one of the best sports presenters in the UK, combining his deep knowledge of football with a natural on-screen charisma. His return to Match of the Day after his brief suspension was widely celebrated, and many fans, pundits, and colleagues rallied behind him. Despite the brief fallout, Lineker remains a central figure in the BBC's sports coverage, and his departure, whenever it may happen, is likely to leave a significant gap. Holmes, in his critique of the BBC's search for a younger replacement, highlighted the lasting impact Lineker has had on Match of the Day and British broadcasting. Gary has set the standard. It's not just about his age, it's about what he brings to the show, his insight, his wit, and his experience. That's why people tune in. It's not about how young or trendy the host is. His comments reflect a broader conversation in the media about the longevity of broadcasters in a world increasingly focused on younger presenters. While Holmes supports the idea of new talent entering the industry, he argues that the role of experienced figures like Lineker cannot be underestimated. The changing landscape of broadcast media. Holmes' remarks also tap into a larger issue in the broadcasting industry, the tension between traditional forms of media and the rise of digital content platforms. In an era where streaming services and digital-first platforms are becoming increasingly popular, broadcasters like the BBC are under pressure to modernize their content in order to remain competitive. This often results in a focus on attracting younger hosts or influencers who are seen as being more relatable to younger audiences. However, the public service ethos of the BBC, which prides itself on offering high-quality, impartial content, has led some to question whether a shift towards younger talent is truly in line with the broadcaster's values. Holmes, who himself has been a fixture of British television for decades, stressed that the BBC must not lose sight of its core audience, many of whom have a deep connection with the personalities and hosts who have been part of its programming for years. There's a danger in trying to chase younger viewers and forgetting the audience that's kept Match of the Day on the air for all these years, Holmes warned. The BBC is about offering something for everyone. They can't afford to alienate the people who've watched for decades just to appeal to a younger crowd. Balance is key. Conclusion. Eamonn Holmes' comments on the BBC's search for a younger Match of the Day host are part of an ongoing debate about the future of television broadcasting in the UK. As media organizations grapple with changing viewer habits and the rise of digital platforms, the balance between innovation and tradition remains a central issue. Holmes has made it clear that experience, credibility, and respect for the sport should be prioritized over superficial age considerations. As for the BBC, its efforts to adapt to the demands of a new generation will continue, But it remains to be seen whether the public service broadcaster can strike the right balance between refreshing its programming and maintaining the values that have made shows like Match of the Day such enduring successes. In the meantime, Holmes' words serve as a reminder that sometimes, the best person for the job isn't the youngest person in the room.